And so where do you feel that fear?
In my gut and chest.
In the gut and chest, okay. Is there a feeling that you can't rely on John, or you can't rely on anybody?
Yeah, I guess. But that's what it comes down to. The people that are here, I can't rely on.
Yeah. Right, okay. Just tap with me on this one. Even though I have this level 15 fear.
I have this level 15 fear.
That I could lose everything.
That I could lose everything.
And I can't rely on anybody.
And I can't rely on anybody.
I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel.
Accept myself and how I feel.
Even though I have this very high fear.
I have this very high fear.
That I could lose everything.
That I could lose everything.
And I can't rely on anybody here.
And I can't rely on anybody here.
I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel.
Accept myself and how I feel.
One more time. Even though I have this strong feeling of fear.
I have this strong feeling of fear.
In my gut. That I could lose everything.
That I could lose everything.
I can't rely on anybody here.
I can't rely on anybody here.
I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel.
Accept myself and how I feel.
Okay. This fear.
All
this fear. This fear that I could lose everything.
This fear that I could lose everything.
This high level of fear. I can't rely on anybody here.
Can't rely on anybody here.
I can't rely on anybody here.
I can't rely on anybody here.
Feeling this fear.
This
fear that I could lose everything. All this fear in my gut and my chest. This level 15 fear in my gut and my chest. Feeling like I could lose everything. I can't rely on anybody here. This fear. This level 15 fear. Feeling it in my gut and my chest. This level 15 fear. Okay, just take a deep breath. Okay. Just measure that level of fear again.
It's still there, Sally. And I, when we were tapping, I noticed it was really more in this heart-centric chest area and into my throat. And yeah, that sort of feeling of anxiety coming through.
Okay, tap with me. This feeling of anxiety. In my heart and chest area.
And
up into my throat. This fear and anxiety. Into my chest and into my throat. Feeling all this anxiety. This fear and anxiety. In my chest and my throat. I can't rely on anybody here. This fear. In my chest and in my throat. This anxiety and fear. In my chest and in my throat. I can't rely on anybody here. This fear in my chest and my throat. This anxiety and fear. Okay. Let's take a deep breath for a sec. Just measure that fear, feeling in your throat and your chest now.
It's still there and it's still very high, but it's been, it's a difficult thing to put into words. Like, it's still there, but it's not as gripping.
Okay.
Yeah, but still there.
Yeah. So what are you most fearful of?
Losing everything.
And what would happen then?
I'd be homeless. So, you know, I'd have nothing really, because even with new skin, you know, it's reliant on you maintaining your executive level, and without purchasing products, my points would drop, because I purchase my products on there every month as well, but I wouldn't be able to afford them.
So does it feel like you have no control over this?
Probably.
It's sort of out of your control.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just tap on that for a minute. Feels like it's out of my control.
Feels like it's out of my control.
Feeling helpless.
Feeling helpless.
Like it's out of my control.
Like it's out of my control.
I could lose everything, then I'd be homeless.
I could lose everything, then I'd be homeless.
Feels like it's out of my control.
Feels like it's out of my control.
I'm helpless.
I'm helpless.
I can't rely on anybody here.
I can't rely on anybody here.
Feeling this anxiety and fear.
Feeling this anxiety and fear.
I can't do anything to help this.
I can't do anything to help this.
Feeling helpless.
Feeling helpless.
I could lose everything.
I could lose everything.
Then I'd be homeless.
Then I'd be homeless.
Feeling this anxiety and fear in my chest.
Feeling this anxiety in my, what?
In my throat and my chest.
In my throat and my chest.
This anxiety.
This anxiety.
This fear.
This fear.
I can't rely on anybody here.
I can't rely on anybody here.
What did you just think of?
Oh, that even though it's starting, my anxiety is starting to, you know, sort of settle, the outcome is still going to be the outcome. So, you know, I need to find a way to not be in that situation.
You need
and I'm running out of time.
Okay, tap with me. I'm running out of time.
I'm running out of time.
Feels like I need to not be in this situation.
Feels like I need not to be in this situation.
But it feels like I'm running out of time.
But it feels like I'm running out of time.
This fear causing procrastination.
This fear causing procrastination.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
I can't rely on anybody here.
I can't rely on anybody here.
This fear that I'm running out of time.
This fear that I'm running out of time.
And I can't rely on anybody here.
And I can't rely on anybody here.
Fear that I'm running out of time.
Fear that I'm running out of time.
This anxiety in my chest and my throat.
This anxiety in my chest and my throat.
Still there, but just not as gripping.
Still there, but just not as gripping.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
This procrastination and fear.
This procrastination and fear.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
This procrastination and fear.
This procrastination and fear.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
Feels like I'm running out of time.
Just check that feeling.
Settling.
Okay.
And now coming back to self-blame.
Self-blame?
Because I should have been more diligent and pushy with getting the plan now rather than letting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, tapping. This self-blame.
This self-blame.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
Blaming myself.
Blaming myself.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
This self-blame.
This self-blame.
It's all too late.
It's all too late.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
All this self-blame.
All this self-blame.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
This self-blame.
This self-blame.
Blaming myself.
Blaming myself.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
This anxiety and fear.
This anxiety and fear.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
This self-blame.
This self-blame.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
I should have been more diligent and pushy.
Okay, can you just hold a second because